Venus and star blessings, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm so excited, so excited this evening because I have the spectacular, wonderful, sensational Mr. Roman Kulev, who I absolutely love. I've been working with his content and material and program of late. It's I really don't know how to put into words what it's done for me in my astrology, but it's just been magical. So I'm very grateful and very honored to have you with us, Roman. Thank you so much for sitting with me tonight and talking to people about this wonderful sacred wisdom that has been lost for the most part, particularly in modern so it certainly doesn't belong at all in mainstream astrology, that's for sure. There are some astrologers that do focus on it or talk about it, but not to the extent that you have. Roman Kolev is, I feel like you lived in those times and literally observed the stars in those times. I feel you were absolutely there. There's no doubt in my mind. Roman has created wonderful astrological software programs. I have one of them called Pleiades 7. We'll be using that tonight to demonstrate some of the charts and things we're going to look at regarding Venus, and that's the topic tonight. It's Venus, the goddess of love. Roman also has books. Actually, I want to get that book from you, Roman, the Babylonian Astrology. That's my next book on my list that I absolutely want to have. Roman also does webinars, programs, workshops. There's so much that you do. I was thinking about it before and I thought there's not many people that would accomplish everything that you have done in a series of lifetimes, let alone one lifetime. It's just remarkable. So anyway, thank you for joining us and welcome. And I'll hand it over to you, Roman, and allow you. Let me just give you the sharing screen component part so that you can share your screen as you need to. So I've just made you co-host. Has that shown up for you?
Let me see. Maybe I can check here if no, I don't see if I am a co-host, but let me see if I can share the screen.
Okay.
Screen share. Do you see it?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. So, where to start with? First, let's say several words about the major framework of what this is about. Mm-hmm. The major framework is the way that the ancients looked at the universe, looked at their experience and the world as a whole. And it is very, very different from the modern one. And the difference is very simple. The modern one is materialistic, and the ancient way is more like a magical way or spiritual, to say, way to look at reality. Anything happens to someone in the modern age, well, they look for some material reason for this. They look for somebody who is to blame about this. And in the ancient times, they looked at everything like the will of God, or they looked like the revelation of different aspects of God. And there was monotheism in the ancient times, without doubt. They believed in one God, and however, all these divinities are just aspects just aspects of this one God. And it is, I can illustrate this with the names of God. The names of God in the Kabbalah are 72. In I think in the Vedic spiritual tradition, there are 108. In the Islamic mystical tradition, there are 100. Mm-hmm. And actually, the Greek divinities and the Mesopotamian divinities, they are nothing but a revelation of these names. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, let's say Apollo. Mm-hmm. Apollo is the divinity of light. Mm-hmm. The light is actually Apollo. And in the Islamic tradition, there is a name of God, which is Nur, An-Nur, which is the light. And also in the Bible, Saint John, there is one place where Saint John says that Jesus is the light of the universe, and the light is Apollo. So these divinities are aspects of God, and they are in the basis of the construction of the universe. If they don't exist, there will be nothing. So these divinities, these aspects or emanations from the first one, from God, they also reveal in the sky. Mm-hmm. And on earth, everywhere, actually, everywhere. And also, I should note the basis of astrology itself. It is the second principle of Hermes, mm-hmm. which is the unity of the sky and the earth. So there is a major follow-ups from this basic principle, because it turns out that the chart, or the so-called horoscope, is the whole sky, the whole celestial sphere. Unity of sky and earth, yes, but the sky is a sphere. This is the celestial sphere, and there are so many things there. Yeah. There are things that we can see. There are things that we cannot see. There are also all kinds of phenomena which can be observed, like the heliacal phases, like the appearance of a planet or of a star, or its disappearance. For example, these are phenomena which can be observed on the celestial sphere. And of course, all this belongs to the celestial sphere and to the horoscope. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of new horizons which will open up when we just think about these things. Mm-hmm. So Venus, if we talk about Venus, it is so rich phenomena connected with the heliacal cycle of Venus that we can write maybe thousands of pages about this condensed information. Mm-hmm. So basically, that's something like a preamble. So, well, maybe we can start with something more particular. If you have any questions on Anastasia.
Yeah, I thought we could just talk about maybe we could start with because you mentioned in one of your webinars that I did, which is fantastic. I highly recommend it to anybody who's interested in Venus and Babylonian astrology. It's just gold, this material. In this webinar, you mentioned there are 4 significant types of Venus. We've got the morning star, we've got the evening star, we've got the invisible Venus, and then we've got the invisible Venus.
That's right. That's right. One of the invisible Venuses is when she's behind the sun, and the other one when she's in front.
Right.
So I will find here. Let me find something like a chart of this heliacal cycle of Venus. Okay. Okay, just I will now share the screen. Okay. Let me see here. Okay, I'll share the screen now.
I love this graph you've put together. It's so beautiful.
Yes, here is the heliacal cycle of Venus connected with the divinities, which reveal in each heliacal phase. So we can just imagine that. Let me see, I must. Like here is the Earth, or maybe I can annotate here. Let me annotate. The Earth is here. In the center is the sun. And this is the orbit of Venus, the circle. So we can see here all the major 4 heliacal phases of Venus. Let me, okay. Okay, so here, on the right side here, when Venus is visible, she is a morning star.
Which is what we've just stepped into yesterday. Yesterday? Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah, this is the way of movement. Actually, for latitude like 43, 45, she'll become visible around the 20th of August.
And as I learned from you in Melbourne, Australia, technically she will not be invisible where I am at the moment in Melbourne, Australia, at this particular time.
Oh, well, it's something which happens very rare. It happens once in 8 years, when the transition of Venus, let me here, like it moves like this. Okay. So when Venus comes in front of the sun, and let me annotate here. So somewhere here, this is when Venus is in this region here. She is between the sun and the earth, and she is not visible, but she is very fast. And this invisibility period is much shorter. It's sometimes it's only days, sometimes it's a week or 2 or 3. But the other period when Venus is behind the sun, this here, is much longer. It's about 3 months. So when Venus is in front of the sun, somewhere here, then depending on her position exactly, if she has a very northern latitude, then for some geographical latitudes, she does not go through the invisibility. Like for 1 day or even for several days, she can be seen at the same time, like evening star and like morning star.
Yeah, that's amazing. That is amazing.
And yes, that's a very rare phenomenon, only once in 8 years. And if she has a very high northern latitude, like 8 degrees, 7 degrees, then this can happen. And the further north on the planet you go, the more days it will stay both evening star and morning star. If you go down to the equator, then this is not possible to observe there. This is observable, I think, maybe starting from 35 geographical latitude up, from 35 up to the pole.
Right.
And for the southern hemisphere, the same phenomenon occurs when Venus has maximum southern latitude. So that's basically means that Venus makes this transition from being evening star Aphrodite, which is here, to morning star Athena. She makes this transition without going through the underworld.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel it's quite an omen for me at the moment. I mean, it will be for everyone here in this location where I am, but I'm personally feeling this energy very strongly. Yeah, very happy.
And here, of course, this has much deeper meaning, because this transition is from Aphrodite to Athena. And Aphrodite is love towards the created world. And Athena is love towards the divine, eternal world, which is uncreated.
Wow.
So here we have this transition, which when Venus is invisible in this transition, means that this cycle must go through a period of purification, of spiritual purification, and this period involves all means for spiritual purification, which is prayer, fasting, meditation, and all such kind of things. While when she goes through this without being invisible, but visible all the time, then she makes this transition very fast and without the need of this special purification. She is so sublime and so powerful that she just jumps over the underworld.
I love it.
This is only once in 8 years, and they are like only, depending on the latitude, they are between 1 and 3 to 5 days when she can be seen at the same time as an evening star and as a morning star. And if someone is born exactly around this period, around this phase, plus minus 7 days, this is very powerful indication from this principle.
Right.
The principle of Venus, which is friendship, harmony, art, beauty, and love. And one very, very famous artist who was born in such a time is Raffaello di Sanzio.
So with this concept, Roman, like from the point of view of, for example, now in Melbourne, Venus will not be invisible. And what you described is that that's an extremely, well, it's a rare occurrence and it's a very powerful omen or phenomena from a spiritual perspective as well, from a Venusian Venus perspective. So have you, I mean, as a general thing, perhaps for people here in this southern latitude, what would that mean for people here, would you say? You know, how would that translate in people's lives?
First, this is very strong spiritual energies in this period. And there is this opportunity to develop spiritually. Also, of course, because Venus here is extremely powerful, everything which is on the Venus is with very high energy, and this is very good for the beginnings of friendships or of relationships, or actually any kind of thing which involves strategy. We should not forget that Athena is the divinity of strategy.
Yes.
She is invincible in war. And she may give this kind of warriors which are very spiritually motivated. So why the morning Venus is associated with Athena Palace? And this is something which is in the Babylonian tradition. The morning Venus, they say, is associated with Ishtar of Akkad, and they say that this is the divinity of war and of strategy. And this is very simple.
Oh, you've just hit a button and I can't hear you, Roman. Your audio's been muted. Can you hear me? Oh, you've cut out. Oh no. Hang on, guys. Hopefully he'll come back. Hello. You vanished. You're back. Your audio.
Yes.
Oh, there you are. Oh, thank God. Okay.
I think the connection is not very stable, but we can continue, of course.
Yes, yes, please do.
So, because Venus, as a morning star, is a herald of the coming day, she is associated with the activities which are during the morning and the day.
Right.
Which is strategy, war, business.
Right.
And when Venus is an evening star, she is the herald of the evening and the night, which is the time to relax, to go to some concerts, amusements, parties, night bars, gathering of friends, gathering of lovers, and that's very, very simple, actually. And when Venus is invisible, when she's behind the sun, let me again share the screen here. So when Venus is behind the sun, which is, let me just annotate. Okay, so okay, let me just pick this color here. So when she's behind the sun, which is here, once, and second time here, in front of the sun. Then these are the transitions from Athena to Aphrodite, behind the sun here. And from Aphrodite to Athena.
So on the longer period where she's invisible for maybe up to 3 months, is that said to be a more difficult time for love and relationships and friendships and all Venus things, let's say? Because when she goes invisible, that's when she dies, right? She goes into the underworld. So when she's invisible for that longer duration, from a physical perspective, let's say, you know, it might be more challenging around those matters to do with the heart and love and friendship and so forth. But can it also be a powerful time to do your own spiritual work?
Well, that's true. This time when Venus is invisible, it's not the best time for relationships, friendships, harmony, and all things Venusian. It's you have read the myth, the Babylonian myth, and it is clearly there. In the myth, it is said that when Ishtar goes to the underworld, then everything in the matters of love and of harmony just freeze up. It is challenging time. It is time for testing how strong are our connections with our friends and with people that we love.
Right. Interesting.
Here, as I said, Athena is in Babylon. It was connected with Ishtar of Akkad, and with the morning Venus, the morning star, and the evening star Venus, which is Aphrodite, was connected in Babylon with Ishtar of Uruk. And these two divinities are very, very different. Ishtar of Akkad is the divinity of war, because Akkad itself was a state, a very war-oriented state. This was the country which around 2300 BC, Sargon the Great was the great warrior, and he conquered all lands around Mesopotamia. First he united Mesopotamia, and then he conquered a vast area, which is like present-day Syria, maybe half of Turkey, Iran, and even up to Egypt. So that's why Ishtar of Akkad is associated with this kind of things: war, discipline, strategy, success. And on the other hand, the Ishtar of Uruk, which in Babylonian tradition is the evening star, is Uruk was a city in ancient Mesopotamia, which was famous with its arts and crafts, with its musicians, artists, folk, with its beautiful women, and actually everything which is Aphrodite.
Right.
Uruk in the times of the Sumerians was also the city of Gilgamesh.
Right.
And these divinities, they were like the protectors of the respective cities. Every city in Mesopotamia was dedicated to a divinity, just like in ancient Greece. Actually, Athens, ancient Athens, had like a protective divinity, Athena.
That's right. Yes.
And when we look at these transitions here, the transition of morning Venus to evening Venus, when Venus goes behind the sun, this is a transition which the spirit from the sublime spiritual fields goes into the material world. And that's why this heliacal phase in Babylon was associated with several divinities. The most important of them was Ishara. They also associated it with Ereshkigal, which is the queen of the underworld.
Yes.
And in the ancient Greek mythology, I would associate it with the Gorgon, the
Right.
Gorgona Medusa, and with Persephone.
Right. So those four deities there, Persephone or Persephone, as you said, the Gorgon, Ereshkigal, and Ishara, those four divinities are associated with that time of Venus's invisibility during the longer period. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
Right.
In the Greek mythology, I associated this with the Gorgona Medusa. It is there are evidence also that this is the case in Babylon. The name of the divinity there is Ishara and Ereshkigal, but both of them are associated with snakes.
Yes.
And the Gorgona Medusa, as you know, is extremely horrifying, ugly, and everybody who looks into her eyes is frozen from horror. So this is something actually which is very logical for the transition from the spiritual world to the material world. We all know that the spiritual world is sublime, eternal, and beautiful. And the physical world is just a very, very faint reflection of this, and is ugly compared with the divine world. So that's why in this transition, Athena is becoming the Gorgona Medusa, because she goes into the material world.
Right.
Also, there is a myth here about the Gorgona Medusa, how she actually was turned into this horrible creature. You know that Gorgona Medusa was a priestess of Athena. She was a very beautiful priestess of Athena, and all priestesses of Athena were obliged to be virgin, just like Athena herself. Yes. Athena herself is a virgin.
Yes.
And also she is immune to the arrows of Eros. One of three divinities. The other one is Artemis, and the third one is Hestia. All these three divinities, only they are virgins, and only they are immune to Eros. Which also can tell you a lot about people who have in their charts Venus morning star, Athena, or Venus evening star, Aphrodite. Those who have Athenas in their charts, they are more sublime in their love relationships. They are much more stable.
Morning stars?
Morning stars, yes. They are much more stable, much more sublime, much more trustworthy. And Aphrodite, those who have Aphrodite, they are not so stable. They are a little bit shaky in their love relationships, but it has its pluses, yes, of course, because Aphrodites are more charming. They are much more charming. They're much more feminine.
Right. Yeah. It's fascinating. I'm a morning star, Athena. So I do relate to the morning star qualities a lot. Yeah. I noticed, actually, I was going to ask you this question. I looked at my whole family's Venus stars, and we're all morning stars, my whole family, like my mum, my dad, and my two brothers and myself, all morning stars, and all have Venus visible. And so I just wondered, because I know in astrology there's so many different teachings and levels of astrology, but through the years I've noticed certain patterns like family dynamics, which I consider like karmic or past life, ancestral lines, that there are patterns repeating in family dynamics. And so when I noticed that everyone in my own family, we're all morning stars, and we really all are morning stars, I thought that's such a fascinating family dynamic, and it's so obvious to me, so obvious. Is that something you have noticed at all in perhaps your own family dynamics or anybody else's charts you've looked at? Is that something you've paid attention to?
Well, yes, it's like this astrological heredity that certain things run through the whole family.
Yeah.
And we can see which exactly is the common tone in the family, which astrological position or phenomena runs through the whole family. And we can pinpoint exactly what is the glue of this family, what is their main archetype.
Absolutely. I've seen it in my whole family in various different ways. Now I'm seeing it with the invisibility, visibility, morning star, evening star. But previously I've been able to identify all these other things. Just as a simple example, one simple thing from a tropical zodiac perspective, because I know we're going to be focusing on sidereal today. But from a tropical zodiac perspective, everyone in my family has got a personal planet in Aquarius. All of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Some have 2 or 3, but yeah, just as an example. Yeah.
So to continue with this myth.
Sure. Yeah.
This priestess of Athena, which was very beautiful, very charming, and she was obliged to remain a virgin, just like Athena. It happened so that Poseidon took a crush on her, and he started courting her. And there are several versions of this myth.
Always several versions with all the myths. Yeah, it's so fascinating. Sorry, go on.
So in one version, he raped her, which is very trendy in the modern world. They talk only about this version of the myth, but there is another version which I think is closer to understanding this myth. In this other version, this priestess of Athena liked Poseidon also, and she went to bed with him on her own accord.
Right.
So, of course, Athena learned about this immediately, and she was so furious that she turned this priestess into the Gorgona Medusa.
That's the power.
So this is So this is this is this also shows it has, of course, a much deeper meaning, because Poseidon is the divinity of the sea. He is the divinity of the salty water, which is the water itself. This is the emotions, the feelings, the sensuality. However, we have two kinds of waters. We have salty water and we have fresh water. The fresh water is the water of life, because fresh water is needed for the plants and for the animals, and they sustain themselves from the fresh water. However, the salty water is the water of death. So we have here two kinds of sensuality. One connected with the fresh water, which is sensuality, which results in life, results in something good, basically. And the salty water results in destruction and death. So two kinds of sensuality. One sensuality, the fresh water, projects life, and the other one rejects life. And here Poseidon is this sensuality which is connected with the salty water, which is not furthering the life. And here we have this myth revealing that someone who is dedicated to spirituality suddenly may be tested with sensuality.
Right.
And if they don't make the test, if they fall down this sink of sensuality, especially connected with the salty water, this destructive sensuality, then from spiritual beings connected with Athena, they turn into this very ugly Gorgona Medusas. So actually, this myth, basically, its spiritual meaning is what happens to the people who turn their back to spirituality, completely forget about this, and turn their attention to hazardous sensual pleasures.
Right.
So every myth, because you see these divinities in the mythology of Babylon, of ancient Greece, these divinities, they are just the archetypes. The archetypes on which is based the whole world, the whole cosmos. Exactly. And the myths actually describe the interaction between these archetypes. And we can see this also in every horoscope. In every horoscope, we can see which myth is being played out, and we can even see on which page of the myth is this person.
Yes, it's incredible. That's exactly right. Yes.
For example, in this drawing here, depending on the position of Venus relative to the Sun, we can know exactly where is the person. Like, if it is just Athena here, it is just Athena being born. and somewhere here it is in full bloom, and somewhere here then she has completed her life as Athena. She has gathered all these experiences from the spiritual world, all this wisdom. Athena is also the divinity of wisdom. This bird owl is her symbol. So she in the ancient Greek mythology, and she has gathered all these experiences from the spiritual world, and now comes the test when she must go to the material world and prove what she has learned up there.
Where is that part in this cycle here when she's attained all the, you know, the wisdom and everything that she's been doing, and then she's got to bring it, show how she's learned? Where is it in this cycle here?
It's somewhere here.
Right. So
when when she is like plus minus 7 days from her disappearance, morning last, from her disappearance like a morning star, because this is the end of her cycle of being visible like a morning star.
Right. Okay.
And then follows this transition here, which can be not very easy. Of course, you know, like coming from the spiritual world into the material world is a challenge. Yeah. The babies know this very well.
Yes.
They need a lot of time to adjust. You know, that's why they are all the time, especially some of them, crying.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So and then here is the evening first.
Right. Yeah.
Which means that Venus becomes visible for the first time as an evening star. So this is the place and time when Aphrodite is being born. There is a famous picture by Botticelli, which part of this picture is this drawing here.
Yes.
Aphrodite being born from the form of the sea.
Right.
And there is here mainly I talk about the Greek pantheon, about the Greek divinities, because we can understand them much easier. We are closer to them in time and space, and there is a very rich tradition, written tradition, which is not the case with Egypt and with Babylon. So that's why I prefer to use the Greek system. So when she is done with her cycle as Aphrodite, which is love towards the created world, and this is something which is not very easy. Of course, there are a lot of disappointments, a lot of setbacks, and then at some point, when Venus is turning retrograde, she remembers the spiritual world. And she says, okay, I was here enough. I was here for enough time. I think I remember something from the spiritual world, which was so nice and so beautiful. why not jump there again?
Yeah.
So then she goes towards this invisibility period in front of the sun in her transition to Athena. And this transition here, I have put here Menat, but it's this divinity here can be also supplanted with the Sphinx also. In the Babylonian astrology, Ishara is given for the invisible Venus, whether behind the sun or in front of the sun. There are not two different divinities there, but Ishara itself is a very complex divinity. So it has some characteristics which are more fitting the Gorgona Medusa, and some other features which are more fitting with her other invisibility period, which I here make connection with the Menat or with the Sphinx. And because Ishara is also associated with purification, with spiritual purification, and with atonement of the sins.
Right. And it's interesting because they both sit at the points of invisibility, right? The same divinity.
Yes.
Both points of invisibility, hence the dark or difficult time in one way, but on the other hand, a deeply profound spiritual passage for those that are working in such a way, let's say.
Yes, of course. The big invisibility is the test, the test of the spirituality into the real world, into the material world.
Right.
And the other one, the smaller invisibility, is this spiritual ascent to the spiritual world, which also requires some spiritual work here.
Yeah. That's incredible. When I look at this and having listening to you, walk through that whole cycle, I can literally relate it to my life just in the last, evening star that we had and this morning star we've just stepped into. Actually, I can literally look at my life the last, 12 months, 18 months and see these parts of the cycle relative to my life story. It's just mind-blowing, actually. It really is mind-blowing.
One thing that we can also do, which is very interesting to see, is if we like in the progressions. Let me see where were you? Okay, were you here? No. Let me see. I lost the Zoom somewhere here. Okay. Let me see. So it's if you make your progress chart, then you will see how Venus moves in this heliacal cycle.
Mhm.
And for example, let's say you have invisible Venus, the Gorgona Medusa, but 23 days after your birth, it becomes visible as an evening star. So this means that this point of the heliacal cycle of Venus will correspond to the Aphrodite being born in you at the age of 23.
Right.
And also there is another, of course, this is something which, if you are born with Venus invisible, like Gorgona Medusa, because this is like 3 months. If you are in the beginning, then all your life, it will be invisible. It will be Gorgona Medusa. However, there is also one kind of much faster progressions, which will equate one Babylonian month, which is a lunar solar month. It's between 29 and 30 days. So it will equate one Babylonian month with 1 year of life. So if we do this, then because one Babylonian month will be 1 year of life, then we can see exactly which years your Venus will be invisible, and which years it will be Athena, and which years it will be Aphrodite.
Right.
And because Venus stays on the sky like a morning star, she stays for 9 months on the average. And as an evening star, again the same. She stays for around 9 months. This means that applying this kind of faster progressions, then we can have a period of 9 years when you're Athena,
Right.
then 3 months or 3 years when you're Gorgona Medusa, and then 9 years when you're Aphrodite.
Right. Wow.
And then half a year of this transition, and then again. So we can make a very interesting diagram of this and see these periods there.
Right. I'm very interested in that for myself.
Yes.
Right. Okay, so with the first example you gave with somebody being born with Venus invisible, and some people may have Venus becoming visible throughout the course of their life. Some people may not. Bad luck if you don't, I say. But anyway, that's up to the gods and the goddess. But for those, say with the example you gave before, at 23 days after your birth, Venus becomes visible. That 23 days equals 23 years via secondary progressions. So I'm just wondering, because she becomes visible at, say, the age of 23, does it mean that life changes in that way of all Venus things, but at the same time you still hold that imprint, right, of Venus being invisible when you were born? Is that something that's still right? Yeah, I thought so.
Oh yes, of course. Yeah. Of course, the natal chart is the most important, and there is no escape from this. It is
that's so true.
It is the ripe karma, which should be we should go through this without any fear. But definitely in this example, if Venus appears 23 days after the birth of someone, and she appears as Aphrodite, and this is woman. Let's say that this is a chart of a female. Then of course there will be very, very big changes in this year.
Right.
The person will start becoming Aphrodite from Gorgona Medusa. This woman will become Aphrodite.
Right. And the that transition that happening of leaving the Gorgona and becoming the Aphrodite, which derives from the fact that Venus became visible 23 days after birth. Is it just for that time where she's visible, just for that period? Like, is it just for that? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not something that's going to be activated all the time. It's just for that time that she's appeared, is visible as an evening star for 9 months. Is that right? Is that the passage?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, but these 9 months, there are 270 days, and these 270 days are 270 years.
Oh.
One day equals one year.
Right. So you apply the principle there as well. Okay.
Well, you see, this kind of prognostic techniques, they relate to the whole sky. They relate to the whole celestial sphere.
Yeah.
Like when somebody is born, okay, we freeze the celestial sphere. That is her natal chart. Good. But then we continue turning the celestial sphere and we continue watching what is happening there.
Yeah.
And there are different time keys. Like the most one of the most known is this 1 day equals 1 year. We can apply this, but we can apply also 1 Babylonian month equals to 1 year. And we can apply also two modern hours equal to 1 year. Also, these are the so-called perfections. The so-called perfections actually came from this technique, but they were simplified. They were made into 1 dimensions, and the richness of everything was lost.
Are you talking about annual perfections?
Like you can turn the celestial sphere from the time of birth. You can turn it with 2 hours, 2 modern hours for each year of life.
Okay.
And the logic here is again very simple, because 2 hours of the day is actually 1/12 of the day. We divide the day in 12 parts.
Right.
And each part equals the whole.
Right. Fascinating. Have you, I mean, obviously you've worked with that technique. Have you found, results to show that works? This 2 hours equaling 1 year? Turning things.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Of course. It's also, there is another time measure which is used in the primary directions, which is 4 modern minutes equals to 1 year.
Yes. That one I know. That one I work with. Yeah.
Okay, but the basis of all this is just again coming from the unity of the sky and the earth, because this comes from Sumerian times. It was God who divided the year into 12 months, and it was God who put 30 days in each month. I'm talking about the lunar solar month. It starts with the first lunar crescent, just beneath, above the western horizon at the sunset. This is the time when we see the first lunar crescent. And this is the beginning of every Babylonian month. And then the moon makes a full circle. The last 3 days, the moon is invisible.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the transition to the next month.
Mm-hmm.
And after this invisibility period of the moon, when the moon again becomes visible as a very thin crescent at the sunset, this is the first day of the next month. So God divided also the month in 30 days. This was not done by humans. We can see it on the sky. So what the Sumerians did was very simple. They took one day, they took the day, and they divided it in the same manner. They divided the day into 12 Babylonian hours, corresponding to hour 24. So they divided it like the year is divided in 12 months. They divided the day in 12 hours, and then they divided each of these hours in 30. Just like the month is divided, has 30 days, so each one of these Babylonian hours they divided in 30 parts, which correspond to 1 day into the lunar month. So each one of these, okay, 1 day equals 1 year, good, but also 1 Babylonian hour equals 1 year. These are 2 modern hours, but also 1 Babylonian minute, which corresponds to 4 modern minutes, equals 1 year.
Right.
So all these 3 measures are just coming from the Sumerian division of the day, and this division is just a reflection of the divine division of the year.
Right. Wow. Yeah.
Also, we can go up.
Mm-hmm.
1 day equals 1 year, good, but why not also 1 Babylonian month equals 1 year? And then this person, which will have her evening first, the appearance of Venus as an evening star, Aphrodite, on 23 days after her birthday. This 23 days, if we equal 1 month 1 year, then this 23 days will be, let's say, like 9 months or somewhere around there. So according to this measure, this time key, then she will experience this change when she's 9 or 10 months old. Definitely at this time she may get us a present, something very nice, like Barbie or some kind of a ball, something.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that we can divide, create that division with the sky, the celestial sky, and time, and yeah, there's a lot of different ways. I mean, certainly the ones that you've mentioned today from the Babylonian perspective or level, I have not worked with that, so I can't comment on it, but I'm fascinated to have a look at it with my own chart at some point with you. Could we, because I know a lot of this material will go over a lot of people's heads, I'm sure of that. So can we circle back to maybe bringing up with your program that the beautiful charts that come up with your Placidus 7 program, so that we can look at that visually and maybe just pull up the pentagram and just quickly go through that, just showing an example of the pentagram, which in the case of your program and how we are working with Venus here is we are looking at that pentagram from the point of view of when Venus appears, for example. There's other layers and levels to that, but we could maybe just show that part for now.
Yes.
That might be helpful
yes.
to people.
Yes, I am looking here to get some example here. All right. Okay, now I'll again share the screen here. Okay, now this is the first screen here of the program. And maybe we can just look at this chart here.
Whose chart is this one?
Yes. This is just a chart of somebody that I know.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that's the chart. As you see here, there are several interesting things. Let me annotate maybe just, for example, we start first from the most important places, which is the rising sign and the culminating sign. And we see here Mars in Babylonian Capricorn. In this program, you can switch between fixed Babylonian and Ptolemaic, which is used by large in modern Western countries. But also you can, yeah, pardon?
Fantastic. I love that you've got that option there too, because you can, these charts are so beautiful for so many reasons, but even just this simple thing here, you can look at your Babylonian chart, which is going to look different for a lot of people relative to the tropical zodiac chart, but you can switch from one to the other with just a second. You know, it's fantastic that you've created it in that way. So
yes.
At this point, we're looking at somebody's chart from a Babylonian zodiac perspective, right? And you're saying that the most important thing to first look at, of course, is always the rising sign or the ascendant. Then you mentioned the culminating MC. Can you tell people what those lines and circles are so that they know?
Yes. Like here, the Babylonian zodiac is corresponding the constellations with the signs. So, for example, here we have Taurus. You see Taurus here, and we have Taurus, like the sign.
Right.
Aldebaran is in the middle of Babylonian Taurus, 1500.
Right.
The star Aldebaran. And we see also here Scorpio in the culminating sign. It's again corresponding to Scorpio. But let me just briefly switch to the tropical Ptolemaic. And here the Scorpio becomes the tropical Sagittarius, and the Babylonian Taurus, the constellation Taurus, becomes the Ptolemaic tropical Gemini.
Right.
And this point here, let me again annotate here. And this point here, wait, why can I annotate? Okay, this point here is the spring equinox.
Right.
From the spring equinox starts the Ptolemaic Aries.
Right. 0 Aries.
Yeah, here is 5 degrees 23 because this is in the fixed Babylonian. It is in the 5 degrees 23 minutes of Babylonian Pisces,
Right.
which is for 1988.
Okay.
So you can switch also to the Babylonian tropical, which will put the spring equinox in the middle of the first section.
Ah, right. I was wondering what that one was. So that's what that part is there. When you see that the middle one, when you just hit the middle equinox one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
The Babylonian tropical is putting the equinox in the middle of the first section, not in the beginning, but in the middle. So it has two parts, like one part is feminine and the other one is masculine. Like let me annotate again. So this part here, I cannot annotate. So this part here, the first part is feminine and the other one is masculine. And the same also with all other signs. So it is known that actually in Babylon, let me, okay. So it is actually known that in Babylonian astrology, they used four types of zodiacs.
Right.
Of course, the main one which was used for observations was the Babylonian fixed zodiac, or the so-called Babylonian sidereal zodiac, which puts Aldebaran in 1500 Taurus. That's it here. What you see here, this is the Babylonian sidereal zodiac.
Right.
And however, they had also this Babylonian tropical. They also had the what is today known as the Ptolemaic tropical, where the first section starts with the spring equinox. They had also this. So they had two kinds of tropical zodiacs, one sidereal zodiac, and they had also 1/4 type of zodiac, which nobody talks about this, and nobody talked about this. But this is a fact that that they had this 4th type of zodiac, which I will call the ascensional zodiac, because what they will do was very simple. I will illustrate this to you right now. I'll go to dynamic so I can change the time. So I'll put the spring equinox, I'll put it exactly on the horizon. So what they will do, they will put the spring equinox exactly on the horizon, and then they will look exactly which degree from the zodiac was rising in this time. It is the 6th degree of Babylonian Pisces, and then they'll move the time with 2 hours. So I'll move the time with 2 hours. And now the ascendant will be the 26th degree of Babylonian Aries. So this will be the first section from the 6th degree of Babylonian Pisces to the 26th degree of Babylonian Aries. This will be the first section of the so-called Babylonian ascensional zodiac.
Right.
And then they'll move again with another 2 hours, and they'll go to the 30th degree of Babylonian Taurus. So the next section will be from the 26th degree of Babylonian Aries to the end of Babylonian Taurus. And they'll continue until they divide the whole zodiac.
Right. Wow.
This will be, yeah.
Hmm.
This will be, of course, different for the different geographical latitudes.
Yes.
So, so it is a misbelief that the Babylonians used only the fixed sidereal zodiac. They used so many things. Actually, the whole later ancient Greek, Hellenistic, medieval, Arabic, modern astrology is contained in the Babylonian astrology. It is a part of the Babylonian astrology because Babylonian astrology, it encompasses the whole sky, all phenomena, being they visible, invisible, all mathematics, all spherical trigonometry of the sky.
That's
so
amazing.
Like for example, somebody some people believe that they did not take in account Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, or the asteroids, right? Well, this they may have not taken them in account because they could not see them, but in principle, in the principle on which is built astrology, and Babylonian astrology is very close to this principle. This principle is that the whole of the sky of the celestial sphere is the chart, the horoscope, and everything there is important, being it visible, invisible, everything, including asteroids, including meteors, including meteor showers. That's actually Babylonian astrology. Everything on the sky.
I agree, 100%. Yeah, it's not even a mind thing for me. It's a knowing that you. I mean, you can know it by studying and researching and observing, of course, but you have to know it at another level as well. That makes total sense to me. That, of course, just because you can't see something, that it's very valid and very important, very powerful. Just because you can't see it, there's a lot of things we can't see. In fact, I think we can see very little compared to actually what's there. So yes, wholeheartedly agree. Yeah.
There is also another thing here that if we think the way that the ancients taught, we can know that all these objects on the sky which are invisible, they are invisible not just because of this, but because God made them invisible to us. And this means that they work more, because they are invisible, they work more on the invisible parts of the human consciousness, which is the subconsciousness.
That's a great way to put it, actually. Yeah. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. And I've always believed that, that the power of the psyche, of the unconscious, is from my understanding and from what I've observed, about 85%, if not more, of our behavior is driven by this side that cannot be seen, by the psyche, by the unconscious. So yes, absolutely.
So also very simple is what is visible, what is conspicuous, its revelations in the life and the fate and the appearance of the person are also very visible and very conspicuous.
Yeah.
So just by knowing the principles, but not so knowing, but understanding them, we can actually know much more, much more.
Yeah, agreed.
From the principles, we can get the follow-up of everything else. So let's talk about this chart here. For example, you see here that this chart is in 2 dimensions, and I will show you now the horizon. So the horizon is this circle. The meridian is this line here, upper meridian and lower meridian. So you know the constellations and the stars, and actually that's all that you need to know. Of course, here, for example, also some of the planets are gray with a cross, which means that they are invisible. Some of the planets may have above them 2 letters and a number,
right,
like Saturn, but I will hide the zodiac. I'll hide the star so you can see better. Here is written MS7,
right,
which means morning station after 7 days.
Okay.
And if it is EEF -3, for example, this will mean that the planet is in evening first, 3 days before the birth.
Right. Okay.
And yeah, evening first can be only Venus and Mercury.
Right.
Because only they can appear in the evening for the first time because of their orbit. So that's all that we need to know. Also, of course, we can draw here. We can go to various data, and here we can see different things, but the heliacal phases are here on the right. So you see Saturn MS7 and different, all kinds of data here also. So yeah, we go first by the most important sectors, the most important houses. Here we have Mars. Mars is very close to the horns of Capricorn. Also, this is a nighttime birth, which means that Mars is very active. And Mars here rising in the horns of the Capricorn talks about very deep sensuality and sexuality. Capricorn in Hellenistic astrology and mythology was associated with the divinity Pan.
Which divinity?
Pan, Pan, P-A-N.
Oh, Pan. Ah.
Pan. And Pan is actually the embodiment or the archetype of the base, of the very base, very how to say it, like the basic sexual drive, especially in males. If you look at the mythology, what is Pan doing? He's sleeping all day, and when the sun sets, he wakes up and he starts chasing the nymphs. That's his whole job, actually. So he's drinking, he's chasing the nymphs, he's in the milieu of Dionysius. So quite a pardon?
What a life he had.
What a life, yes. Well, yes. So we can draw these conclusions from this here. Of course, also Mars is conjunct with Altair. Altair is in the 6th degree. His projection is in the 6th degree. Altair is the main bright star of this constellation of the eagle. So this is a star of Jupiter and Mars, and it is one of the royal stars. So it gives a lot of ambition, spiritual ambition to strong star. And this conjunction here also makes for the person to have this very high energy, she may have this dedication towards spiritual progress.
Right.
So we have here this mixed up, like from one side we have Pan, which is very deep into sensual pleasures, sexual drive, and then we have this conjunction with Altair. So on the other hand, on the meridian here, let me again.
Is this evident in this person's life? We don't have to, hopefully, because I don't know who it is, so hopefully that's okay to ask this question. I don't want to know who it is. It's private, confidential. But just when you're looking at this chart, do you see these aspects of life in this individual? Are you able to?
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah. She has also Antares here, very close to the meridian, which is again one of the stars under Jupiter and Mars, the so-called royal stars. Again, it gives the same like Altair, but this star is a little bit more of a warrior type, more aggressive and more unpredictable, because Antares is not a stable brightness star. It changes its brightness in unpredictable way.
Right.
So this will, of course, reveal also the fate of this woman. Like she may have some very sharp ups and very sharp downs. Unpredictable.
Right.
And also in her actions, she will be highly unpredictable because of Antares.
Fascinating.
So we have also here another interesting thing, Venus here.
I was just about to ask you that.
Yes, Venus in the Pleiades.
Yeah.
So the Pleiades according to Hermes, have the same nature as Mars and the Moon. And Hermes associates the Pleiades with spiritual powers. I will call the Pleiades the stars of the witch, because they are associated with powers to make magic, to see the future, to see the past, all kinds of this crystal ball, all kinds of these things. In the Babylonian mythology, the Pleiades are the 7 demons of destruction.
Really?
Not very nice stars. Yes, these demons of destruction, they are demons of anger, of hate, of killing, and they are in the surrounding of Nergal, which is Mars. Nergal is the divinity of war, of killing, of bloodshed. And these 7 demons, the Pleiades, help Nergal in his job.
Right.
So
was there some kind of story in this person's life that the Pleiades lining up with Venus somehow described this person's life in some kind of way?
oh, absolutely, like like Venus in the Pleiades, especially in this chart, they reveal a very free sexual behavior, to say it in a mild way, to say it in a good way. Very, very free sexual behavior, which can be deviant at some times, but basically it is this can be a sign of how do you say this, when you change partners a lot.
Promiscuous?
Yes. But also Mars here being in a night chart, very close to the horns of Capricorn, which is Pan. This is maybe the main thing here.
What degree is that with the horns of Capricorn, the constellation? What degree is that? Is that 5 degrees there that I'm seeing Mars?
Well, no, look, when I point to the horns,
yeah,
and here in this kind of window here, you can see the Babylonian degree. So it's like Babylonian, like ninth degree.
All right, okay.
So it is not exactly there, but very close.
Right. Okay. Well, I've got
very close.
Sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say I've got Mars in Capricorn, but that's in tropical. But yeah, I have to see where these horns are in my chart. That's funny. Okay.
Well, everywhere where you see horns in the zodiac, that's connected with sexuality.
Interesting. Very interesting.
John Kennedy,
yeah,
had his Aphrodite evening Venus between the horns of the celestial bull, between the horns of Taurus.
Yes, I remember you spoke about that in that amazing webinar that I did, that you put together, because he was one of the examples that you used, and it was great. It was fantastic. And he certainly was a man who had a very strong sensual appetite, let's say. Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So also here, there is something else here that we cannot see on this graphic, but now I'm developing some more models in which we can see the lunar orbit.
Hmm.
And it turns out that the so-called perigee of the moon, which is its point on the orbit when the moon is closest to the Earth. The perigee of the moon, its closest point to the Earth, is right on her ascendant here, right on her ascendant.
Okay, so that's obviously important, right?
Oh yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. This point I will associate with Echidna, again one creature from the Greek mythology, which is a beautiful woman until the waist, and from the waist down, she's a serpent, snake. Yes, and she has like 100 snakes hidden in her head and in her back, and she lives in some cave in a very desolate country where the sun never goes through the clouds and where stormy winds just sweep through the surface. And she lives there, and she eats travelers. When somebody passes by, she comes out very beautiful woman, and these travelers lose their minds and they approach her, and then the snakes, bah, and he's finished.
Yeah, it's
So
the seductive quality of the feminine, that seduction.
oh well, not only seduction,
but ultimate death as well, yes. But the seduction
ultimate death
is the opening part, right?
Yeah, I will. Let me see here if I can show you this Echidna. Yes, I believe I can. I will find her here.
Let's continue, and I'll be back in 2 seconds.
So it's we will wait for Anastasia so she can see also Echidna. And in this time, I will try also to find Ham. Okay. So the principle here is that we can see in a chart the divinities which reveal in the planets. And we can see which divinities are most active. We can first see which divinities are there, and then we can see which divinities are most active. Like, for example, Venus, she can reveal in one of these 4 divinities. So we have charts with Aphrodite, we have charts with Athena, we have charts with Gorgona, and we have charts with the Sphinx. So and then the same with the other planets. Mercury can be Apollo, when he's morning star, and Hermes when he's evening star.
I wanted
So
to
now,
ask something on that actually,
Yeah.
with Mercury being either Apollo or Hermes. Apollo morning star, Hermes evening star, yes?
yes.
And
Yes.
so maybe this is not the time to go into it, actually. Maybe we'll leave it. Yeah.
Okay, so now Anastasia is here, and we can show the famous Echidna.
Yeah.
So that's her.
Yes. I love that picture. That's fantastic. I drew something like that many years ago.
And then now I'll show you also the not so less unfamous Pan. That's him.
Is it really? Wow. That must be a really old art from a very long time ago, yes?
Yes, this is from ancient Greek vase.
Right. Yeah. Fascinating.
Okay. Echidna, when we look at her, for me, she is the embodiment of sensuality, which keeps people into the reincarnation cycle, and most important, keeps them fixed on the material. This is her functions in the cosmos, to test the people with the sensual pleasures, and if they are too fixated on these sexual pleasures, you know how they finish.
Okay, wow.
And the other point of the lunar orbit, which is the apogee, which I think it must be, where was it? I'm not sure in her chart. I think it was somewhere in Gemini. I'm not sure. But because here the moon is in her most distant place from the Earth, then I believe that here reveals the husband of Echidna, which is called Typhus or Typheus.
So the position of the apogee, it describes what you just said. Is that what you meant?
Yes. Yes. I will now find Typheus also. Okay, I found this guy. Okay, let me now again. Okay, go to share. Now let's see, where is Typheus? Is this guy here?
I was going to say Greek because it sounds like a Greek name, of course.
Yes, he is from the waist below. He has snakes for legs.
Right.
From the waist up, he is a guy with wings, and his fingers. The myth about him says that he has 50 fingers on each hand, so altogether 100, and each one of these finger is the head, the jaws of a horrible animal like crocodile or jaguar or all of these horrible animals. So this is the fear. The fear. So we have Echidna, the sensual desire,
Right.
fixation, and we have her husband, Typheus, like embodiment of the fear. So we have both sensual desire, fixation, and fear, fixation, which keep our spirit under the lid.
Wow. That's incredible. That you're able to identify that with the moon's perigee and apogee position in the chart. That's incredible.
Yes, so the fact that we have here Echidna, or the perigee of the moon conjunct her ascendant, tells us a lot. Tells us that this person is very fixated to the sensual pleasures, especially sexual.
Wow.
And the place of the fear, if it happens to be in the sixth house, this will be associated with illnesses and with a low social position.
So could the illnesses, because we're talking about some of the sensual appetites and sexual appetites and things like that, it could even be somebody, you know, having sexual diseases, maybe because it's the sixth house. Could you look at it like that?
It's more overall. Like, this is the fear of any kind of disease, of any kind of sickness,
Oh, right.
of any kind of low social standing too.
Okay.
So okay, we can go on with this, but let's now move. Let's now move to the pentagram.
Yeah.
So from here, as you see here is written pentagram of Venus. We can call this panel where we can choose what pentagram we want to have, either with the evening first, or with the morning first, or morning last, or evening last. So her Venus is Aphrodite.
That's right.
No wonder that this is Aphrodite. So here we will leave this evening first, and then if we switch here on this panel here in the left lower corner, we see here pentagram. So if we click here, this will be the pentagram of Venus appearing as an evening star. And if we want more information, we can just click here, and we will see, for example, that the first number one of the appearances happened on the 6th of October 1987, which is before her birth.
Right.
So she was actually, and this happened in the Babylonian, it's on the border between Babylonian Virgo and Babylonian Libra. So this means that this person was born during the time of the ruling of the reign of this particular Venus. This particular Venus, which was Aphrodite, showing up like in the first degree of Babylonian Libra. And she would stay for 9 months, and this would be the stretch of her time of rule until she is visible as an evening star. She will be ruling the cosmos.
Right.
And every person who is born during this time will fall under this rule. So this person is being ruled by Aphrodite, who showed up in the first degree of Libra. So this is here like very close to speak, very close, like maybe half a degree, 1 degree. And Spica is one of the 4 spiritual stars.
Yes, she's my
So
favorite.
yeah, she's also intellectual star of occult knowledge. So here we can see that this woman is also very attracted to spirituality, and that possibly she wants to make some mixture of spirituality with sexual sensualism, which actually she is doing.
Right.
And here, because like in a period of 8 years, Venus will show up as an evening star in 5 different places. And here you can see them. First it will be here, then the second one will be the 1st of May 1989. So the second one will be in Babylonian Aries, the third one in Sagittarius, and so on. And this will result in the pentagram. The last one will be in Aquarius, and this is February 14, 1994. Okay, then what happens after that? After that, this pentagram will be repeated. However, it will move with average of 2 degrees back into the zodiac.
Right, exactly.
We have here after the 5th, we have a repeat of the 1st, which happens October 1995, which is 8 years after the number 1, after the 1st.
Yeah.
And this happens in the 28th degree, 20 minutes of Virgo. So it moves back a little bit.
Right.
So we can also go to dynamic. And if I put here, let's put 4 years, not to jump over a cycle, and I start moving the time. So if you look at this point here, look how it moves through the whole of Virgo. So it will make one turn on the zodiac in around 1,440 years.
Very long time, yes. So when you're looking at the 5 points in the first 8 years of life, and you look at the first appearance of Venus for this particular person, which was a few months before their birth. So how do you, or what do you place, how can I say this question? Because there's 5 positions of her appearance, are we saying then that those exact moments of appearance are the important times for this person in the first 8 years of life, for instance? Is that the way to understand this?
Yes, and there are a lot of ways that we can understand this. For example, if she meets someone who has ascendant exactly like the end of Virgo or the beginning of Libra, she will be very attracted to these people because her Venus has been born on their ascendant.
Right.
So in their presence, her Aphrodite will be like being born. So she will feel much more like Aphrodite in the presence of these people.
Right. Yeah.
And the other way around, with the place where this Venus disappears. We can build this pentagram here. Again, evening first, evening last. Okay, the first one is in the 7th of June, 88. 17th of June, 1808. Yes, this is, she is born April 88. And in June 88, Venus disappears in the beginning of Babylonian Gemini.
Right.
So if somebody has this ascendant, this will be the opposite. In their presence, she will feel like dying like Aphrodite.
Yeah, that's I that blows my mind. Well, this astrological phenomena, you know, when your Venus dies on somebody's ascendant or is born on somebody's ascendant, and it makes so much sense, you know, it just makes sense. Could we say the same for, what would we say about the descendant? If my Venus was born on your descendant, or if my Venus dies on your descendant, is that just as important as well?
Yes. Like ascendant, descendant, MC, IC, moon, and sun.
Right.
These are the most important important points. And okay, if your Venus dies on the sun of someone, this means that his ambitions will make your Venus die.
Oh,
or
wow.
if yeah, or if your Venus dies on the MC of someone, this means that his work, his career will make your Venus die. And the opposite, if it is born, the opposite.
Right. Wow. That's amazing. I can't wait to have a look at a few different charts that I want to look at now. Just to see if that pattern showed up. That's incredible.
Also, there is this conception about the pentagram, which symbolizes the head,
Yes,
the arms, and the legs of the cosmic person.
right.
And we can see this very well in the pentagram of the morning first, because the pentagram of the morning first has, like you see here, number 3 and number 5 are with very north from the ecliptic. You see, like, let's see here, number 3, it is 6 degrees 20 minutes latitude. Number 5, wow, is 8 degrees 4 minutes. So this is the maximum, is number 5, because the logic goes like following. When we look at this pentagram, where is the head and where are the legs? The head is the highest place of the body. So by association and by logic, this must be number 5. because number 5 is highest one of these all 5 points, highest from the zodiac.
Right, I didn't know that. Okay.
So we can put here the head. This is the pentagram of the morning first.
Right.
So we put here the head on number 5. Then the left arm will be number 3. The right arm will be number 2. And then this will be the legs 1 and 4.
Right. Okay.
So by the orientation of the pentagram related to the body parts, and for the morning first, we can also gain some insights, like the head. This is the truth. The head is the divine part of everybody, of the body of everyone, and this is connected with the truth. And the left arm is connected with love, with the principle of love. This is number 3. Number 2 is wisdom. Then we have the left leg, which is virtues, and number 4, the right leg, which is righteousness. So depending on in which houses they fall and on which planets they fall, we can draw conclusions. Like here, for example, the left arm, which is the love, falls exactly on Mars. Again, this sexual drive, love, which goes through the sexual drive.
Right.
And we have the head, however, is connected with the sun. And the sun is, again, the light, the truth. The sun is Apollo. So we have here this correspondence of the head, truth, with the sun, which is again truth. So basically here we have this very, very strong chart which combines extreme opposites. Like from one side we have this sexual drive, this sensuality, which is very deep, and on the other side we have also spirituality. And she's combining them actually. So this works out for the better.
Yeah. It's so fascinating to see this, and to see that, you know, somebody could come to have a reading and have these things explained to them, because there's so many people that I'm sure, you know, would feel very conflicted internally with those aspects of themselves that appear to be on opposite ends of the spectrum. You know, to bring unity to that and to understand it and to make it meaningful in your life is very important. So, you know, when you have somebody who can validate what you're feeling, you know, and explain it, it makes such a big difference, because people walk around feeling guilty and tormented because they don't know how to, you know, how to create the balance with these conflicting, very extreme conflicting positions that they hold within themselves, right? That's the value and power of the sacred teachings. So, yeah. Just one question, Roman, if you don't mind, because I just want to make sure that I'm understanding this, and so the audience understands it as well. when we had the pentagram and you said number 5 was the head for this particular individual, which was right there with her sun. Thank you. Now, is number 5 always the head for everybody, or it's just in this case with this chart?
No, this is like number 1 always happens before the birth.
Right.
So number 1 just depends in which kind of Venus, in which of these 5 sections the person is born.
Right.
But where the morning Venus will appear at its most high position is completely different thing. Because somebody can be born under this number 1, but for example, if this person is born, let's say, like several months later, he will be under this number 2.
Right.
But then when you make the pentagram for his chart, this number 2 will be number 1.
Got it.
Because he is born there.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
Also, with the heliacal phases, we can make something else. For example, the so-called heliacal transits. For example, I go now to dynamic. I go to now. And now Venus is 6 days away from appearing as a morning star. So if I move with 6 days, then this is the place where Venus appears, and this is the 22nd degree. Yes, it looks like the 22nd degree of Babylonian Cancer. So let me just look here again. Venus, yeah, 22nd degree, 2110. This is 22nd degree of Babylonian Cancer. But never forget that the heliacal phases depend on the place, so geo coordinates. So this is for 43 latitude geographical north.
Right.
So this place here where Venus appears, if someone has here ascendant, sun, moon, MC, descendant, then they must prepare for a period of 9 months. Very nice. Very nice. Like
Cancer, woman. Actually,
yeah.
I might in Babylonian. I have to have a look. No, I don't think I do. No.
So let's see what is the geographical latitude where you are. What is it like?
It's what is it? 30. Shit, I've just forgotten. 30. Is it 35 or 38?
It must be south, right?
Yeah, south. Yeah.
South. So what was the city?
Melbourne. I think it's 38.
How is this? Melbourne.
Melbourne, yeah.
Well, we'll find it here.
$37. I think it's 37. There it is. Oh.
Yeah, almost 38. So I put here minus 38, which is south. Refresh sky. All right, this means that right now Venus is visible, and look here, it is MF minus 7. Let's see again here. MF minus 7. Yes, which means that Venus has appeared 7 days ago. So let's go at the time when Venus has appeared. Okay. Now she is evening class 0, evening class minus 1, and now she is evening first. Let's see again here various data. Yeah, evening class minus 2, but because let me see, I can go also to this place here. And here, okay, morning first. Okay, 13th of August. Let's go back. Okay, she is invisible. Yeah, so she is evening last August 11th.
Yeah.
Then she goes through the invisibility period only for one night, and then the next morning she is morning first. Yes, so this is happening in the 26th degree of Babylonian Cancer. And you see the sun is again in the 26th degree. So they both are in the 26th degree. But this does not is not a problem for Venus to become visible because she is very far away from the ecliptic. So the heliacal transits, okay, you look where Venus appears, and then you look in the chart. What is there? Ascendant, MC. Ascendant will bring a lot of party time, a lot of nice feelings about your projects and about yourself. You will become more beautiful too. You will attract people, friends. If this 26th degree of Babylonian Cancer happens to be on the MC, then on the MC of the natal chart, then you can expect very good news in your profession, in your career. Maybe some women will help you with some better, more powerful position in society. The descendant, partners, relationships, friends, and in this way, the sun, love, the moon, this is in your home, in your place. So this is how we can interpret the so-called heliacal transits, and this will be active for the whole visibility period, which will be 9 months.
So if you don't have Venus appearing on an angle of the chart or the sun, then bad luck or or
No. Venus is never bad luck. Venus is always good luck.
I know.
However, this good luck can be better, or can be bigger or not so big, and also it will relate to different aspects of your life. If it happens in the 11th house and there is nothing there, this will still bring some good news from sponsors, from protectors, also friends. So
what about
if it is
sixth house? Because the sixth house is, not the greatest, but anyway.
The sixth house, you may find some very cute small cat.
But I've got a baby girl already. There she is. She's listening to you. She's saying, Roman, there's only one queen in this house. Only one. She's over there. But yes, the sixth house connects to small pets. So that's a real positive thing about the sixth house, actually. A nice.
Also, you can get some kind of job through friends, which is work, which is toil job, but still good one.
Yeah.
The sixth house, or it will be definitely if you have if the person has some kind of illness, this will be a time when he may find cure.
Okay.
So it's it's depending on which house it is, on which planet. The most powerful, these are the corners, sun and moon.
Yeah.
And this is what we can do not only with Venus but with each of the planets.
Yes. Yes. It's
so yeah.
No, I was just gonna say it's just unbelievable wisdom. I love all this. I just love it. And I noticed as well when you put the chart up for, I think for Melbourne, well, it's not just going to be for Melbourne, but anyway, Mars and Mercury are invisible as well right now, I see. Yeah, I think Mars will be invisible. Well, I'm not sure how long actually, but I guess my question is, when Mars goes invisible, that's also important as well from the point of view of Mars things, right? It's got the same principle as when Venus goes invisible, for example. When something is invisible, a planet, let's say, goes in, which all these planets do at different times, of course. So that's not within itself an unusual phenomena, but it is an interesting phenomena to observe in your life. When Mars goes invisible, Mars things might be more difficult at that time, from the point of view of taking action, right? Fighting for defending yourself, whatever it is. Is that correct? To be thinking like that about Mars?
Yes, it's for your geographical latitude, which is Melbourne minus 38 south, Mars will become invisible on the 19th of September. And this is for every planet. When a planet is invisible, in this time, there is a challenge coming through this planet. Like, for example, if it is Venus, the challenge will come through relationships. You can have some tough times, some times of testing, or if you start a relationship in this period, then it will be not very easy. But the heart of the matter is that the invisibility of a planet means that the spirit of the planet is with God, and this spirit gives account of the doings of the person during the time when this planet was visible. So this is a time when the bill must be paid in order for the next cycle to start.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a time of clearing up, a time of thinking, of like meditating on the field of the invisible planet. So if it is Venus, it is relationships, it is friendships, connections. If it is Mars, then this is connected with your energy drive, with the wars that you're making, that you may go through some wars. And when Mars becomes invisible, then this is the time for
Retreat.
for retreat. Yes, for reorganizing, for keeping under the radar a little bit.
Yeah.
The time when Jupiter goes invisible, globally, this may bring a lot of scandals in the politics and in the high religious circles. So when Mars is invisible, this is bad for the soldiers. When Jupiter is invisible, this is problems for the politicians and for the Pope or the Dalai Lama. When Venus is invisible, this is time for problems for the women, especially famous embodiment of Aphrodite or Athena.
Yeah, Sinead O'Connor, an Irish singer, she died just like just a few days before Venus went invisible in the UK anyway, because different latitude there to here. She died on the 26th of July. That was a big loss for many people, including myself, because I loved her music. Very sad, only 56 years of age. But anyway, it happened at that time of Venus going invisible in the UK. Yeah.
So also you can look for the other planets, especially Mercury. Mercury has a very highly irregular cycle of visibility. Okay, for example, here for your geographical latitude, Mercury will appear as an evening star here, EF0. He will appear on the 12th of July 23. Well, that's a long time, but still, this means that if someone has here something, again, in the 8th degree of Cancer or around, important, Moon, Sun, Ascendant, MC, then this will be very good time for his projects, for his connections, for his networking.
Okay, yeah.
And if also, you see, it's also important to watch very carefully the heliacal cycle of the planets which are the most powerful in your chart. If someone has Mercury visible in a powerful place, then every time when Mercury becomes visible, and he is visible for around maybe 2 weeks to 1 month, and in the whole year he is visible for around 1 or 2 months, depending on the geographical latitude. So in this period, such a person will have his projects going very smoothly, very well.
Right.
Okay. And again, the same with people who have strong Venus or strong Jupiter. Again, when these planets are invisible, they may be a little bit low in their activities, and when it becomes visible, then they grow up. They become more confident and everything goes better.
Right. So it's a very important phenomena to follow then, a little bit like when people are tracking, let's say, transits, you know, or whatever else they may be tracking, because there's many different techniques you could use. This is now another very obviously extremely powerful technique, which comes from deep, deep, deep roots, ancient, you know, ancient deep astrology, relative to the, you know, actual movements of the planets, right? But from a different level here, because we're talking about the heliacal risings and settings, you know, when we can see them or can't see them. And you're saying that, you know, if a particular planet is really important in your chart, and like just say it's Mercury or Mars or Venus, I mean, of course, all those planets are important, but if you were born with Venus visible, let's say, right, and morning star, you might want to continue to track that, right, and just see, you know, every time she becomes visible as a morning star, that's your cycle, right, that's your phase, that's your time, so to speak. And so what we're saying is you can apply this with really any of the planets, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And these are phenomena which are very conspicuous and very well observable on the real sky. So their results are also very conspicuous and very obvious.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And this is this is a technique which comes from Babylon. Actually, I have a proof for this, because there was a Babylonian horoscope made somewhere in the, I don't know, the 4th century BC, the 3rd century, somewhere there. And in this horoscope, there was something very intriguing to me. It was written, when this person becomes 36 years old, he will become rich. And I read this many years ago, and I was constantly thinking how they have come to this conclusion. And when I made my computer program which computes the heliacal phases, then I saw that 36 days after his actually it was on his birthday, on his 36th birthday, Venus appeared as a morning star on his sun. Actually Venus appeared on the sky on the day of his birth, when he was 36 years old, on his birthday. So this is another thing that we can do. We can look at the sky on our birthday, right, and we can see which planets are appearing, which are disappearing, which are visible or invisible. And we can see also if there is, for example, Venus, let's say on your birthday this year, let's assume that Venus will appear 5 days after your birthday. Mm-hmm. Okay, your birthday is when? In which month?
April.
Okay, so this means that 5 months after your birth month, this will reveal. So April plus 5 means September.
Right. Okay.
In this example, this will be September. So in September, this appearance of Venus will have its effect. Right. And I have seen this happening big time.
Right. Okay.
Like there was a friend of mine several years ago, and this is the case with this guy. Venus was appearing 5 days after his birthday. And I told him, okay, you're born in November, so you count 5 months: December, January, February, March, April. April the next year, expect something very, very nice happening to you. So exactly in this month, it happened as I told him. This guy met a wonderful woman, and they had a very nice time together.
That's nice. Yeah. Yeah. I must look at that for myself and for others. Yeah. So the 5 days, it's a little bit like a little progression. We're just saying, you know, 1 day equals 1 month, basically, right? 5 days, 5 months. Yeah. That's
yes, 5 days after the birth month equals if the planet makes heliacal phase 5 days after the birth, that's it.
right.
And in another case, one woman had on her birthday Saturn disappearing. I think he was disappearing maybe 3 months, 3 days after her birth. So what was this? This was that 3 months after her birth month, some old man will disappear from her life. So she had a boyfriend who was like quite a lot of years older than her, and that's what happened.
Right.
This guy disappeared. But I didn't tell her this.
Yeah.
I don't want to program people for negative events.
Yes, I understand. Me too. I'm very careful with the things I choose to say as well. Yeah.
We can say it in a different way. Like we can say that, oh, Saturn is disappearing. Well, maybe there will be some karma that you will pay with some older person, probably a male, because this is the sun. So maybe there will be a time for recollection, for reconsideration, in a softer way.
Yeah. 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 Mind blowing. Mind blowing.
Yeah, so it's very rich, especially the Venus heliacal cycle
Yeah.
is so powerful and so rich. One fact which can be very, very, very interesting, and which has escaped the scrutiny of the scholars and of the Egyptologists, is that actually in the Egyptian calendar, the Egyptian calendar consists of 365 days. So 1/4 is left out because the tropical year is 365.1/4 of the day. But they in their calendar had only 365 days. So what happens actually is that for 8 years, if we multiply 1/4 by 8, we will get 2. Right? 8 below 4, we will get 2. So every 8 years, the Egyptian calendar is backward with 2 days from the tropical.
Right.
And guess what? The Venus cycle is 8 years minus 2 days. So the Venus cycle actually has the same rate of movement like the Egyptian calendar. And the down to earth effect of this is something absolutely mind-blowing. It's like when someone tells you his birthday in the Egyptian calendar, you can know immediately, only from his birthday, you can know what is his Venus, where is his Venus. Is she morning? Is she evening? Is she invisible? Or if she is in a heliacal phase, you can know everything only from his birthday.
Wow.
So actually, the Egyptian calendar was based on the heliacal cycle of Venus. If someone is born when Venus appeared, let's say as a morning star for the first time, then every of his birthday will happen the same. After 8 years, actually, not every birthday, but every birthday after 8 years.
Yeah, because it's just tracking that cycle of Venus, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because 8 years tropical minus 2 days,
yeah,
Venus will appear again
yeah,
as a morning star, and this will be again his birthday in the Egyptian calendar.
right. Yeah.
So let's in conclusion, I will show this book that you are planning to obtain, this one here.
Yes, the Babylonian Astrology. And I heard you say that this is like 30 years of, of research that's gone into this book, right? So it's, a lot of work.
Yeah. Yes, a lot of research here, and this is published in the academic stream. So this is a scholarly book, but there is a lot of astrology here too.
Right.
And here there is a big section about the heliacal phases, because in my program I built this algorithm for computing the heliacal phases on the basis of my observations of heliacal phases, which stretches to more than 10 years. So when I accumulated enough observations of fixed stars, of planets, then I made my algorithm based on these observations. And I made these observations in several different places with different atmosphere. In Bulgaria, in Seattle, the United States, in Vienna, in Turkey. So I could also make the connection with the different transparency of the atmosphere, because in Seattle it is much more transparent than in Bulgaria.
Is it?
And yeah, and actually when a planet or a fixed star will appear also depends on the transparency of the atmosphere. Let me show you in my program where you can see this. Okay, let's annotate So this is here, extinction. Extinction means how much light is extinguished by the atmosphere, and the value for Bulgaria, and basically maybe for the most of the world, is 0.24.
Right.
However, in Seattle, it is 0.18.
Wow. Just in Seattle or in the United States?
Seattle only. I have made my observation only in Seattle in the United States.
Okay.
So this is only for Seattle. However, I think you can safely put 0.20 or 0.24. If you don't know the extinction, you can safely put this 0.20, 0.25, and this will give some good results. But also in my book, which is the Babylonian Astrolabe, I also give method how to compute, how to know what is the extinction. You just need to observe the rise of several fixed stars, and then with some formulas you can figure out for this place what is the extinction. I give there very, very detailed algorithm how to do this.
Yeah, I'm sure. Absolutely.
So one more thing to say about the heliacal phases is that there are several algorithms, other kinds of algorithms, and there are even some programs which say that the program computes the heliacal phases, but in fact they are not correct, because either the algorithm is not correct or their conception of what is a heliacal phase is not correct. I can give you example with the program Delphic Oracle, which was inspired by Robert Schmidt, and I saw their heliacal phases, and I saw that there was something wrong with them. And then I figured out that actually the heliacal phases which were computed there were just very, very simple rule. When a planet is 15 degrees on the ecliptic from the sun, it is counted like in a heliacal phase. It was either appearing if the distance is increasing from 15 degrees, or it was disappearing if the distance was decreasing from 15 degrees. And this is how this program computed the heliacal phases. So I wrote to Schmidt, hey, Schmidt, this is not correct. This is not the correct heliacal phase. And Schmidt answered me, well, this is what the Hellenistic astrologers wrote. They wrote that this is the case. I knew this. I know what the heliacal astrologers wrote. I know that's exactly what they wrote about the heliacal phases. However, this is just a very simplified way, and they wrote this not because they thought that this was the correct way, but because they have forgotten how to compute it exactly. So then I wrote to this good guy Schmidt, I wrote him, okay, Schmidt, do you want to tell me that when you actually see a planet appearing, do you want to tell me that this does not mean anything? Because actually, if you follow this very crude method, then you will get deviation of several weeks, sometimes months, for the heliacal phases, and you will not know when actually the planet really appears visible to the naked eye. You will not know it. So that's why I asked him, do you want to tell me that this means nothing?
Yeah, of course.
So,
and with that, then there's also the matter of locality as well, right? Like where you are on the planet too. So how can it just be always that, 15 degrees rule, right?
of course, you have geographical latitude, you have brightness of the planet, you have azimuthal distance from the sun, you have a rate of change of the altitude, you have so many factors, but the main thing is that we must be able to compute the days of the actual visible real appearance and disappearance of the planet, so we can go out, look at the sky, and confirm this, and observe this with our very eyes. This is the real thing. These are the signs from the sky.
Exactly.
And there are other programs which claim that they compute the heliacal phases. Of course, I think the algorithms are again incorrect, and like there is one very, very simple way to check this. It's just you compute with this program the heliacal appearance of Mars or Mercury, because they are very difficult to compute. That's why you do it with Mars or Mercury. You compute when will they appear according to these programs, and you compute the same with my program, Placidus 7. And then you do something very simple. You go out and check it out. Look at the sky. And then you will know for sure.
No doubt. Yeah. Well, I think it's, a lot of people would be not in a position to argue with you, because unless they've done their own visual, observation over a long period of time in various locations and know how to create these algorithms and software and so forth, they wouldn't be in a position to argue. So I understand and respect what you're saying. And I haven't studied heliacal phases for my whole time that I've been practicing and working astrology. Not at all. I'd be lying if I said that. Although 20 years ago, I studied medieval astrology, ancient medieval astrology, with a lady who is pretty well known in her field, etc. And I learned a lot from that study. It was an amazing course. But anyway, the point is that 20 years later, I've circled back to something that I started then, but now what I'm seeing and understanding is so much. There's more to it, There's so much more here. So I'm very, very grateful to you, to your time, to your awesome program, to everything that I'm just beginning to learn, really, with all of this. But I've got a pretty good mind for it, so I can learn very quickly, and I'm very lucky like that. Plus, I'm not new at astrology, many lifetimes of it, like you. So yeah, and like you said as well, quite apart from what you are actually saying here with everybody today, and you gave a really great example when you said choose Mars and Mercury because they're more difficult, right? And you know, calculate them in a particular program, see when the heliacal, phases occur, etc. Test it out with the Placidus 7, see the difference, and then go out and observe for yourself that the truth can never be hidden, number one, period, right? So it's right there. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this is this also brings me to one also of the most important principles of Babylonian astrology. This is observation of the sky with naked eyes, personal observation, personal contact with the whole sky,
which is a huge it's a dedication, it's a discipline, it's a commitment. You can't just go out there once and go, oh, there's Venus, now I know all the answers. You have to, the Venus evening star cycle that just ended, right? Because I'm facing west here where I'm living. So for the last 9 months, I've been looking at Venus coming up in the, rather setting in the western sky. And I've made a point every single night to watch her. Watch exactly as she's coming over, exactly when she's going to go, boom, down, gone, goodbye, good night. And then 1 year ago, I was living on the eastern side. So I made a point to get up at, sometimes it was 5:30, sometimes it was 5, sometimes it was 6, depending, to watch her as the morning star. And I'm not a morning person. It was a really big effort for me. But I would just get up, I would have a coffee, have a cigarette, and then I'd go and watch her. And she was like this sparkling diamond in the sky. And I did this every single morning because I just wanted to see for myself. And that's just not even because I have any intention to write anything about heliacal phases and risings and programs. That's not my thing. I'm doing different things. But just the embodiment, the embodied experience of that visual, seeing and connection, there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it. And then, of course, when you want to get to the point where you want to test different programs or different people's positions or perspectives, well, you have to do that, right? You have to see it for yourself. Yeah. So, yeah, no, this has been absolutely amazing today. I learned quite a bit today as well, actually, and I knew I would. And I'm very thankful, very grateful. I'm sure everybody who's watching will be equally as grateful and thankful for your time, because you guys are listening to somebody here who is, we're talking about a very high end of wisdom and research and study. A lot of this is, probably very far beyond people's capacity to understand, actually, because I've got a lot of beginners watching, I've got a lot of advanced, I've got a mixture of people. But it doesn't matter, because if you hear this and you feel drawn to it, you feel a connection, well, then you make a decision, right, to do something about it, to do something with it, to start to learn about Babylonian astrology, ancient astrology, the ancient sacred language of the stars, the ancient teachings. There is something called evolution, and we are constantly growing and evolving and developing. But on the other hand, there is also something that is very, very known to be retained in the wisdom of the ancients that we still work with today and still use today. and although a lot of it got lost for a long time, and then we had different periods where the three Schmidts, I think there was 3 of them, wasn't there, that, you know, did some translations, and then we had Rob Hand, and so there's been a lot of people that have come through and revived the ancient sort of principles and teachings, and different people are doing different parts. But I'm just really really glad that I came across you, Roman, across your path, which is coming to my path. And what I've learned with you in just a small space in time, I haven't learned anywhere else that I've read a book or studied or listened to. So I have, yeah, a lot of respect for you, a lot of appreciation. And I really encourage people to reach out to Roman and ask him questions about what he's got to offer, and his programs and his books and readings, anything. You know, he's amazing. He's amazing. Simple. And I look forward to doing more with you, Roman. Hopefully this is just the beginning. So we'll say good night to everybody. Thank you so much for listening, to all of you as well. And thanks, Roman, for your time. Really, really appreciate it from my heart. Thank you.
Thank you. And I wish you good luck, and to anyone who watches this video. The key is observation.
It is. It is. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Roman. Thanks, guys. See you all soon.